This Week in Startups is brought to you by Asana. Manage your projects, tasks, and workflows with the system loved by companies across the globe. Start using Asana today for free. Go to asana.com/twist. And Weebly. A good-looking website is great, but a website that turns into a successful online business? That's beautiful. Go to weebly.com/twist to learn more and get 15% off your first purchase. Weebly. More than just a beautiful website.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. I am your host, Jason Calacanis. I'm an angel investor here in Silicon Valley. And I've been in the industry for a couple of decades. I remember meeting Mark Zuckerberg at the TED conference in Monterey when his website, Facebook, was only in colleges. And I was super unimpressed. Wasn't a very interesting guy. Didn't have much to say, very quiet. And after a while, I watched his progress with Facebook and thought, God, this is really growing quickly. But this person does not care about people's privacy. He only cares about growth. So I wrote a couple of critical things. I got criticized pretty hard here in the Silicon Valley. And for anybody who listens to the show, of course, you know I was right. The site, Facebook, has made decision after decision, the company, to compromise our privacy in the name of growth of their company, to the point at which they literally flipped our democracy on its end by allowing foreign nations to pay in rubles, to run racist ads, to try to subvert voters from coming out for one party using racist, sexist, bigoted ads. All because they wanted to go fast and loose with the rules. They've since been on an apology tour. And as I also predicted, that whole apology tour that Zuckerberg went on was a pre-apology tour. He wasn't going to Middle America just because he wanted to milk cows. He was going there because he knew the Russian scandal was coming. Of course, all this has come to fruition, and people say, hey, Jason, you think the government needs to regulate Facebook? I'm not a big fan of government regulation, to be honest. I do think that if a company or an industry doesn't regulate itself, sure, the government is likely to do that. I have misgivings about it. But what I do know from the arc of history and technology is that it's not the government that stops a bad actor in the business space or bad behavior, typically. It is another founder with a better idea. And if you remember, Microsoft got into all kinds of antitrust issues. I think at the end of the day, it burned out Bill Gates to the point at which he didn't want to run the company anymore. He was tired of being hated. And after he left, they missed the mobile opportunity. They missed the internet opportunity. And competitors like Google and Facebook, and of course, Apple's iPhone, and Apple now outselling Windows machines, I think, or making much more revenue, perhaps is the better way to state it. I think there actually are a lot of Windows machines out there, but they do not have the Windows operating system. It's a long way of saying competition is the best cure for badly behaving companies, not the government. And so, being the capitalist I am, and being somebody who hates the impact Facebook has had on our society, and who hates the way Zuckerberg has run that company, I figured I'd put my chip stack where my mouth is by doing the Open Book Challenge. You can go to openbookchallenge.com and see what it's all about. It's very simple. We think that there will be a competitor to Facebook that'll emerge. And in fact, we know there have been 3 or 4 of them. Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and Twitter are the 4. And those 4, 2 of them got bought. And one of them, Snapchat, refused to be bought by Facebook. We're hoping that we can help push founders to realize you can compete against Facebook. You can build something better. And that consumers will be ready for it. There always is a better mousetrap around the corner. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying Facebook's not going to try to kill you. Gosh, they have tried to kill Snapchat as best they can, and they still haven't succeeded. So, Open Book Challenge is an open challenge that any development team, startup team can join. And we are going to invest $100,000 in up to 7 different companies and host an incubator class here, the Launch Incubator, in San Francisco to try to get some founders started. We've had over 100 people apply already, and the due date is still weeks away. Here's the basic timeline. We've announced the We announced this a couple of months ago, and we've been getting early applications in, which is great. And that's the first 100 days. On June 15th, we will accept our last application formally. Who knows? Somebody might sneak in between June 15th and July 1st, but that's the official deadline. July 1st, we're going to pick 20 projects that'll be finalists. Why are we doing this? Well, because we don't know how many people will come up with great ideas. We've got a pretty good start right now, over 100 companies, and I'd say a dozen to 2 dozen of them are pretty darn good, and we'll get better. So on July 1st, we'll pick our 20 projects as finalists, and we'll include them in a This Week in Startups episode. Today on the episode, we're going to see 3 or 4 of those companies to get you inspired maybe to start your own company. And then in September, on the 30th of September, we will offer the 7 finalists, or 7 of those finalists, an investment. And we'll probably have a couple of alternatives in case people drop out. That does sometimes happen. And then from October into the new year, October, November, December, we'll host that 12-week Open Book Challenge launch incubator class. So that's the basic project. Again, most startups fail. Facebook is a really difficult adversary to go after, but the public is ready for options. They always love new, delightful products, and you only have to look at Snapchat and Musical.ly and Twitter and Instagram and WhatsApp to see that people are looking for alternatives. So we're going to quickly talk to 4 of the people who've already applied. First up is Butter is the name of the company, and the founder is Dan Flanagan. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me here.
Okay, you heard my little preamble. Did that resonate with you in any way?
It did, very much so.
Explain.
Well, especially in the case of Butter, I think there's an area where Facebook is kind of missing the boat, and that is in the discovery of new people, not just your existing social network, but actually making new friends. And in a world where everyone seems to be leaning toward their own personal views more so than opening their mind a bit, I think it's important for us to have a platform where people can actually meet interesting people from all over the world.
Great. Okay, so let's take a look here at Butter. Why don't you take a minute and walk us through the product?
Sure. So what you're seeing here is a live feed really quickly a second ago of our product. But what I'm going to do specifically is look for someone who's interested in hiking.
Got it.
So I've entered hike into the search, and I see a bunch of photos. These are real photos from our users, some amazing hikes. I'm going to select the one at the very top. This is Cherie, and it looks like she said, "What do you think of my beach hike?" Has some people commenting already. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick comment here and say, that's amazing. Where is it? Try to be relevant. Hopefully she'll reply to me and come back in the conversation. She tells me it's in SoCal. I'm from Northern California, so I'm going to look at her profile. I can check her about me and some more information about her age, where she might live. I'm going to follow her. Hopefully she'll follow me back. I'm going to send her a quick chat request, and I'm going to be specific. I'm going to tell her I have a hiking question. Maybe this will improve the chances of her accepting that request. And it is within her power to accept or reject that. So she's accepted it. I'm letting her know that I have some specific questions about hiking shoes, maybe the best shoes to wear. And it looks like she's gotten back to me with some questions that she has of me as to what type of terrain I'm hiking on. So the example here is pretty typical of what we see on the entire path from someone doing a very public discovery of someone all the way through to mutual follow and chat, which leads to ongoing friendship. For us right now, we really feel that this is working. We've got over 42 million photos that have been posted by users. There are over 25 million chat messages, so people are actively engaging and they're opening the app more than 10 times a day. Users are also transacting, so you can earn credits that you use toward chat, but you can also buy credits that you use toward chat. And users are actually gifting those credits back and forth between each other. We also have some pretty amazing App Store ratings. And more specifically, when users call out and rate the app, they actually say, this is something that I find valuable because I'm making new friends on this app. And we hear more and more often, too, that it's not just friends locally, it's friends all over the world. As far as where we're going with this, right now we feel that we have a great opportunity to increase engagement, obviously growth as well, and lead toward monetization. And I think the key piece here is we're planning on deprecating Facebook in our app. They've deprecated so many of their features because of recent scandals. We're going to kick Facebook out as a Facebook Connect option. Great team and investors.
Great.
That's better.
So well done, by the way. How long have you been working on this?
So we've been working on this in one form or another since about 2014.
Got it.
So it's been going on for quite some time, but we've kind of hit on the use case recently.
And explain to us what this chat coin currency is. How does it work, the virtual currency?
Yeah, so the currency right now works within the app. Essentially what we've done is we've created this break between actual spending money and then getting credits for the money you spend. So if you, credits are essentially 10 cents a piece, so you spend $4, you get 40 credits. And you can use those credits to access this personal chat. So I go ahead and go in the app. I choose to buy credits. I make a purchase, in-app purchase. So we get the revenue from that.
How does what I mean is, how does the coin work? What do I do with the coin? One credit does what?
Once you have the credit, one credit allows you to access, to send a chat request. Essentially send that request to someone.
And if I get turned down by the hiker?
If you get turned down by the hiker, you lose that credit. But we also have a kind of a free-to-play model. The more you post into the system, the more interaction your photos get, the more credits you can also earn.
Got it.
So what works
So if my photo gets a bunch of likes, I might get a credit.
You might get a credit. You might earn credits as well.
If the person accepts the chat, do they get the credit?
No, they don't right now.
Okay.
But we are definitely looking at a model where the users who accept the chat could potentially earn within this ecosystem.
Yeah, that might be weird too, though, because they then would be accepting it for
Why
the
are they
coin,
accepting
not
it for
the.
that?
And then they
Exactly.
might just say something like, "No thanks, bye," and block the person.
Right.
So you think that you'll be able to make a friend from make a business from these coins?
Yes, and the other thing that users have specifically asked for is the ability to, let's say, promote their profile. So instead of having traditional ads within the app, we'd have essentially ads for our own users, and there's a willingness to pay for that as well.
My general sense is that you're building something that's between Tinder and Instagram. Am I correct?
You're pretty right on the mark with that, yeah.
So is this Tinder for people who are too proud to use a dating app? Or is it a more Instagram with a virtual currency?
It's a good question. I still think it's a little bit of both, because most of the connections and the conversations happening here are between people who are at a fairly decent distance from each other. So the odds of them meeting are probably pretty low.
Got it.
So these end up being virtual connections as opposed to face-to-face connections, which is what Tinder's going to lean more towards, obviously.
And you have advertising now, but you're deprecating that?
Yeah, we're deprecating that just because right now, from a page view standpoint, it's just not generating enough revenue for us. We know that if we swap those out for ads, essentially users promoting their own profiles, it will actually make more revenue doing that.
That's a very interesting observation. You could take out the ugly, annoying ads and monetize just as well with profiles and essentially content that people are looking for anyway in the system.
Correct.
So the person who's hiking, if they're looking for friends or a mate, whatever the case may be, someone to date, they could use that ad to say, "Hey, check me out.
Right.
I hike."
Yep. Exactly.
All right. This is really interesting. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I guess, my question for you is, given kind of the state that Facebook is in, and knowing that Facebook just recently announced kind of this dating product that they're going to launch, I'm just curious your take on Facebook as a potential dating platform. I'm actually surprised that Facebook jumped all the way to dating, obviously probably more monetizable than just friendships, but
so any
platform for that.
All platforms are designed to take the partners they have and then either make them rich and famous and huge sustainable businesses, or to study them and then kill them. So Microsoft had WordPerfect, Lotus 1-2-3, and other products that they had partnerships with. They studied them, they released Microsoft Office, and they killed them. Zuckerberg was very informed by this. He and Bill Gates both dropped out of Harvard, right? So he always considered him a role model. He's a bit obsessed with him, in fact, from what I understand. And what that led to was when Zuckerberg created Facebook, he just studied everybody, and now he's slowly going along, and he Foursquare and Gowalla, Craigslist, Zynga, and just kill any of those and incorporate them into the base platform. Right. Apple and Google and YouTube are notable examples of people who've taken an opposite approach. Apple says, "Hey, Calm.com is doing excellent. We're not going to steal meditation and build it into Apple products. We're going to let Calm.com become a huge company and do their thing, and we'll support them." So I think it's more extreme on either end, depending. Some people just have a kill everybody on our platform, that's Zuckerberg, and then other people have we'll support you till the cows come home, which YouTube has done. I think they changed the rules a little bit, but they've done a pretty good job of shipping a lot of money to people. And if you look at Amazon, they're right in between. Right. Amazon lets third parties sell on it, and then they're also doing Amazon Basics by studying the best stuff. So it's a great question. I think for a founder like yourself, you don't have to worry because you're running experiments, and you can do crazy, awesome experiments that Facebook cannot run because they're being watched like a hawk by the EU, the US, all kinds of regulators around the world, and they have to keep making money because all the analysts are following them. So they can't, for example, say, take out the ads and put in a cryptocurrency, essentially, is what you've done. You put in like a virtual currency. Right. It's not a cryptocurrency exactly, but it could be.
And we'll have virtual gifts tied to that as well.
So you can just keep pulling the string and running experiments. So my hope for you, Dan, and thank you for sharing getbutter.me, search for butter in the app stores. My hope for you is that you use that advantage and you experiment and you make mistakes and study your data. That is how you'll beat them, is by studying and experimenting. Experimenting, studying, iterating, and just keep trying different things. Don't be afraid to do something completely stupid.
Right.
Like if somebody said, I'll use credits, I'll give people credits if they join this group chat. Well, do credits work for group chat? No, that's stupid. Well, let's try it. Sure. Maybe that becomes the thing. So I would have absolutely no preconceived notions. Just you can have I'd have some theories, which I guess fall under preconceived notions, but I have some theories and I would test them.
Right.
And see where it leads you. And I have a feeling that you're on to something here. And even if you've been out in the woods for 3 years building this company, I've seen a lot of people be out in the woods building a company for 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden they take bourbon and they make it Instagram.
Right.
And the rest is history.
Pinterest is another great example.
Pinterest is another example. Yep. Angry Birds is another example. There is a long list of examples of people who went into the wilderness, got lost, and then came back with something really, really awesome. Let's give a golf clap to Dan, the founder of Butter.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. We'll be right back after these messages with our next Open Book Challenge competitor. Stick with us. I am loving Asana. I'm using it every day. My team is going bonkers getting organized on Asana. We have so many moving parts here at Launch and This Week in Startups. We have 2 podcasts. We have Founder University, Angel University, 2 schools. We have 3 or 4 events like Angel Summit, Launch Scale, Launch Festival. How do you keep all of these things organized? Well, the way we do it is we use Asana. And when you have Asana running in your organization and you're the leader of that organization or a manager, oh my God, you know what everybody's doing, you know when everybody's work is due, and you know where to find information about your different projects because you use nice folders. And you can change the view. If you want a list view or a calendar view, a Kanban board, you can pick how you want to view all the tasks and procedures that need to get done. But the thing that is amazing is doing routine work. There are these punch lists that you have to get done every time we post a show, every time we host an event, every time we sort through applications for our incubator. We use these routine tasks and it works great. Also, you are going to know what your teammates are working on. This alone is a critical innovation of using something like Asana. And Asana is the best for these repeatable processes like bug reports or creative requests. And you can view the work any way you like. I've talked about this already, but I want to make sure you understand. You can view it as a list, which is what I prefer. Other people, if they're doing an event, they may want the calendar or the timeline, right? You want to know when applications are due. You want to know when semifinals are, whatever it is. And of course, like developers and other people like to use Kanban boards so everybody knows what's going on. Now, here's one thing you need to know. 30,000 companies with teams in 192 countries trust Asana. And look at this list, huh? Here's the lighthouse clients. Airbnb, Uber, Thumbtack, and Facebook. I'm an investor in 2 out of 4 of those companies, Uber and Thumbtack. And this is a really big deal that they have these huge companies using it. And you can integrate into hundreds of apps like Google, Dropbox, and Slack. We obviously have it integrated with our Google Docs. So manage your projects, tasks, and workflows with a system that is loved by the most important companies around the globe and the most productive. I think if I had to, and by the way, we're paying for it. You can use the free version, you can use the paid version. Our company actually pays for it, and we're cheap. We have to get a lot of value from something for us to pay for it, and I was glad to pay for Asana. So start using it today. Go to asana.com/twist, ASANA, ASANA.com/twist. Go ahead and check it out, asana.com/twist. The product is amazing. I would say conservatively 10 to 15% more efficiency in your organization within 3 months of using it. You'll at least be 15% more efficient, and you'll certainly be 100% more organized, because right now all this stuff is on people's personal to-do lists and in starred and email boxes. You need to have all this stuff organized. So go ahead and use Asana, asana.com/twist. Let's get back to this amazing episode. Okay, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups, a special edition where we're going to talk about startups who are participating in the Open Book Challenge. Go to openbookchallenge.com, tweet it, share it with a friend. We're looking to inspire people to take on a big challenge, replacing Facebook with something better. Does it mean to be, you have to create a copycat site and just absolutely copy them pixel by pixel like they did with Snapchat? Doesn't mean that's not a good idea. In fact, I think somebody who just built a version of Facebook that was $1 a year, and it was exactly designed to be just feature for feature, perfectly like Facebook, and just match them feature by feature, I actually think that would be successful. I'm not saying you should do it, but I am saying I hope somebody tries. Our next company is R.Media, and the founder is Richard Zach. Hey, Richard.
How are you?
Good. Why don't we, you heard my little preamble there.
I did.
Did that resonate with you? Why do you want to participate in the Open Book Challenge?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that we can just do better than Facebook, and especially when it comes to privacy and user compensation, which has never been a part of the Facebook equation, and I don't understand why not. So I think for those reasons, that's why we're interested.
Okay, so the obvious one being privacy, which we've talked about ad nauseum, and so have many government officials and regulators. But the second one, compensation. I'm looking forward to hearing in your pitch about compensation, which I agree. Facebook has never shared a penny with any of their partners.
True.
That we know of. Maybe they have some partners that we don't know of that they do share. Who knows? Okay. You have a minute. We're doing a minute or 2 minutes? 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Thank you for having me. I'm Richard Zach, and this is R.Media, and we make it easy to fact check and rate all news and digital content through our social network that's built on trust, privacy, and user compensation. We do pay our users for using the platform, and we're part of the R News family. So what's the problem? Well, clickbait, fake news, and political bias has made it difficult to know what's true online. So our solution is to implement 3 core improvements to the typical social media model, starting with a trust network and an open validation process where users rate the veracity of news and content. We also have easy privacy controls with a default to where all data collection is turned off, and we compensate our users. The trust network starts with a know your customer system where users are given a menu of choices to verify their identity, and the more of these optional choices you do, the more your voice counts in the open validation process. So what we do is on every ad, news, and piece of digital content, we integrate fact-checking tools directly into the platform. The public can then rate that content. So for example, if Elon Musk disagrees with media coverage about him, he can log into the platform and rate that content directly. Now, all these ratings then go through troll traps, a patent-pending bias filter, and a spam filter to produce validated quality scores. These quality scores bubble all the way up to the top, so we get aggregate scores on publishers, authors, journalists, and editors. Now, we're actually rating metrics more than just a simple upvote, downvote, like, dislike. We're rating factors like political spin, trust, accuracy, the relevance of the content, and we're working to identify more metrics. Again, users are compensated for participating in the process, and in fact, if you choose to share data, you set the price that your data will be shared for. We also compensate users for participating in the fact-checking and rating process. We have a strong team. I have 2 successful startup exits by acquisition. We have 3 equity developers on board. I'm here in San Francisco this week meeting with our largest and closest startup competitor to talk about a merger, which would double the strength of both teams. Once again, I'm Richard Zach, and this is R.Media.
All right, well done. Let's give him a golf clap, everybody. You talk very fast. You got a lot to say, though, so it's a good combination.
Thank you.
We didn't actually see the product, but except on that little laptop there. So as a demo, it was a little bit brutal, but I got a So we have I would say about 2% of your pitch was was the product. So I'm going to describe it right now. What I'm seeing on the screen is, and by the way, it's a great pitch, a story from Newsmax.com, which is known as being the most trustworthy site on the web. I'm being facetious now. And here it says, rate the political spin. and you could say rate trust of source from 1 to 100%, rate the accuracy, and leave a comment. This would be done by experts who come into your system, or just individuals who come into your system.
The public, everybody.
Public.
Yep.
And the more you know them, know your customer, KYC, you may have heard that a lot for the audience here. KYC is what banks need to do. They need to know their customer, make sure you're not laundering money like Michael Cohen allegedly has done. Or Trump, perhaps, who knows? So KYC comes in because you don't want to be laundering money for criminals or terrorists, etc. So you give people a KYC score based on knowing their phone number, their Facebook, their Twitter handle, their email, all these things being verified, which is something that is done across all the social networks already, but we don't get to see it. It's done for their benefit. They know their customer, we don't. So this is a very good observation, I think. This KYC credentials.
Thank you.
It's a very good insight because you're flipping it inside out. And the only other company I've seen do that is Clout. Maybe on AngelList, you see the other, you see your other links, and LinkedIn shows you other links. So there's a couple of places where you will get a slight air of, hey, if these things are links, you get an idea that this person is trustworthy. Nextdoor, of course, verifies your actual address by sending you a postcard with a number on it that you would then verify. So it's sort of like a two-factor. So this is very interesting.
And we do plan to add more menu options such as address verification.
Right. And so this would give us the ability to be like, okay, this isn't 100 Russian bots, which, by the way, Facebook is more successful than you and I combined times a million. They know how to do this.
They do.
They've chosen to not check people's identities, to turn a blind eye, especially when they're buying ads. When the money's coming in, all of a sudden they don't care about verifying people. When Twitter, which has been suffering from low to no growth, they don't have an incentive to stop people from creating fake accounts because each fake account, they get to say on CNBC, we had this many MAUs and this many DAOs.
True.
Monthly active users and daily active users. If they were to start verifying people to the level you are, then the number of people signing up might be 20% lower, 10% lower. This would kill the stock price.
But then we know that they're actually real people.
And harassment on Twitter will go down. So we have to ask ourselves, why doesn't Twitter get rid of all of these spam bots and trolls? The reason is Jack's a coward, and Jack cares only about the stock price. I'm kidding, Jack. Jack is actually a very principled person, but I think that he has to balance his stock price and the share price for his employees. So this is a very hard thing for a public company. It's a problem with being a public company, which gives you a great advantage. So I like this a lot. What I don't like about it is I think that the people motivated to join are going to be people with an axe to grind. So my question to you is, if the people who want to join, like people editing a Wikipedia page, if they all want to just slam the person, i.e. the people you fired or you beat in business are the ones, if you're a public persona like myself, are the people who are editing your Wikipedia page in large part. The people who like you and have had a great experience do not go and rate you on Glassdoor or Wikipedia.
That's absolutely true.
How do you deal with this, the axe to grind issue?
So we've developed a new algorithm that we filed a patent for, which actually goes much further than any other methods in filtering and minimizing bias and agendas online. So in addition to the Know Your Customer solution, we're also looking at various factors like how long did somebody spend reading that article prior to submitting a rating? How long did they spend reading the sources? Did they contribute? We look at the activities they undertake, and then we can infer from that whether or not it's just somebody going through the list and sitting false, 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 false. And then in addition to that, we can actually determine through the ratings process, we can determine individual user bias, and we can adjust the ratings for that. So essentially—
But there is no social network here, or is there?
There is a social network here.
There is a feed
absolutely.
for a social network. Okay, so you rate the stuff and then you see it. Okay.
So if you look here on the screen, you can see that
looks like Google News.
So it's modeled to be a social network based on Google News, essentially, because we aggregate news and we aggregate content.
All right.
And then as the users participate, they become activity on their own wall.
Got it. Okay, calm down there. I know you're excited.
I get too excited,
I can
man.
see that. I got to pause you for a second because I got questions here and the audience does too. Let's talk about these credits for a second. I see I get 25 credits for verifying my phone. how does a credit equal $1 or does it not? Are you going to give people like Amazon cards? Are these like airline miles or like Ethernet? I'm sorry, Ethernet, Ethereum.
So the creds actually refer to credibility. So that's the weighting of your rating as part of the validation process.
Okay, then where does the money come in here? You said you were paying people.
So as you participate in the process of fact-checking and rating the news and content, you earn points. Those points are going to be, you can trade them in for a smart media token based on the Steemit blockchain. So
you have the Steemit blockchain you're using. Explain to people what Steemit is. I know, but they don't, so tell them.
So Steemit is
Steemit
is a really cool site where you can earn money and earn SMT tokens for participating on their platform. So
it's basically Reddit with a token.
That's a better explanation.
There you go. All right, Richard, do you have we have to take a quick commercial break, but do you have a question for me?
I do. Yesterday, Elon Musk tweeted about how he'd like to start a media company, rating news and journalists. We've been working on this for over a year. Would you consider making me an introduction?
Okay, when we get back from commercial break, you'll hear about the introduction, and I have some insight into what Elon is doing when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey, everybody, let me take a moment to thank Weebly. Yes, if you've ever thought about quitting your job like my guest did and doing your own thing, you're not crazy. In fact, you're like the 82 million other Americans who've said they'd start their own business if only they could. Well, Weebly wants to see more of these people take that leap and turn their ideas into a successful online business. So they've made it super easy for you to get started. First, by making it dead simple to create a great-looking website. Second, and more importantly, by providing tools that help you turn that website into a successful business. Let's say you're an artist or you're making Sphero and you want to sell your stuff online. Well, with Weebly, you can build an online store that makes your products and your brand look incredible. But that's not all. You can manage inventory, collect payments, run promotions, and even live chat with visitors to your site. You know that experience when you go to a website and you can chat? Well, that's Weebly. And you know what that does? Less people abandon their shopping carts. More people think highly of your company when they can chat with somebody. So that's a really good feature. And when you're ready to grow, Weebly can help you get discovered on search engines. They can help you create marketing campaigns and help you with those return customers. Those are critical. Retargeting return customers are everything. Sometimes people come window shopping. They check out the Misty. Maybe I'm ready. Maybe I'm not. They come back a second time. And then maybe the third time is the charm. You want to get that retargeting, get those return customers. So whether you're looking to create a side hustle or it's time for you to take on your dream job, Weebly can help you get there. Visit Weebly.com/twist for 15% off your first purchase. Weebly.com/twist for your 15% off your first purchase. Weebly, more than just a beautiful website. All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and this is our Open Book Challenge special episode. We're going to be doing like 3 of these episodes. One now to get you excited and see the competition, which is competition that, as impressive as these first 2 are, I bet you're sitting there at home thinking, I'm as smart or smarter than these 2 cats. And that's what I want. You see? You remember the Emperor in Return of the Jedi? Go ahead, take the lightsaber, strike him down. Right? That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to stir things up. I want to see somebody get into it with Zuckerberg. I'm not jumping in that ring. I already made my money. I want to see somebody else get up there and fight him. Now, Richard, you had a great question with r.media. Congratulations on getting the .media domain name. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Elon did yesterday, or last week, I guess, when the taping of this, talk about Pravda, and he's a little frustrated with the truthiness of the news. And he's right. The headlines in the news are ridiculous, and they're written by people other than the journalists, and they are typically link bait, and people don't read stories. So the end result is people have less respect for journalism. I've talked about this issue for a long time. Great journalists have their journalism completely destroyed by the social media dipshits who are, sorry, bleep that out, Mom, sorry. But literally these social media idiots are out there writing fake news headlines, which then makes Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal or other places look really stupid. Headlines are a big problem. Now, if anybody has any brains, he's calling it Pravda in the middle of the Russian fake news scandal. I don't know this for certain, but I believe it's a big joke. I don't think that he is actually doing this, and anybody who thinks he's actually doing this is crazy. What do you think? He's going to like start, just because he says he's doing the Boring Company, you think he's going to build tunnels underground? I mean, he has built a couple, but, you know, I'm joking. In that case, I think the Boring Company is real. I don't think Prompt is real. And no, I'm not introducing to you. Of course not. But after I own 6% of your company and you come to the launch incubator and you figure this out and you get a little bit tighter, yeah, I could drop him an email, maybe. You never know. But you also have to think about what is the goal here. I think if you believe, this is how I would handle targeting Elon, because he's an investor in one of my companies and we're friends. And so here's how I have a little bit of information on this. I don't think he's going to invest in anything at this point because he's too focused on his own stuff. But the way I would target him if I wanted to get a retweet would be, I would write a little manifesto of, here's what Elon said. Here's what we think he gets right. And here's what we think a solution built off of what he says is even better. And here's how we think about it. We're going to have 100 people review every story. We're going to pay them 25 cents each or whatever. We're going to have 10 people do it for $1, whatever it is. And we're going to have this team do it. And here are the early results. What do you think? And give me feedback. So you're basically giving props, then talking about yourself, and then giving another set of props at the end, because I would love your feedback. So that's the high art of asking important people and getting them hooked into your stuff. Oh my God, you're brilliant. Here's something a little bit about myself, because I might be brilliant too someday. And then finally, did I mention you're brilliant? And that's the sandwich you're looking to have right there.
Gotcha.
All right.
Thank you.
Richard, you did a great job. I think this is fascinating. I want to talk to you more about it. I think that there could be something here based upon the first 100 people you have doing this that is critically important. So you know about PageRank that Google did. You may want to really think deeply about those first 100 people who are doing this and only allowing them to let other people on. In other words, if you had 100 people who were intellectually honest, fair, and hardworking, and you put them into the system, and they verify the other people, that might be better than letting this just spin out of control, because the first person to get in there, like Wikipedia, is going to just send it in a certain direction. Okay, well done. Let's give a big golf clap to Richard and our media. All right, 2 different spins, as you can see, for the people here. Okay, sorry, you can go. All right, there you go. So walk in front of the camera. All right, so cut it here. 3, 2. Give me a 3, 2. All right, great job. As you can see from the first 2 companies we met with, Butter and Our Media, there are different ways to skin this cat. Anytime you are going to go up against a competitor, you need to find a good beach to land on. You need to find a wedge, somewhere where you can do something much better than the incumbent. So in the case of Butter and Dan's company that we saw, he thinks he can handle dating and the chat that goes with it and the currency, maybe cryptocurrency, maybe virtual coins. He thinks he can beat them with that. I don't disagree. I think he can do some really innovative things. That's going to be his wedge strategy. And with Our Media, they're just going to take straight on the raison d'etre, the reason they're going to exist, the reason they're going to focus on this, and the beginning and end of their social network is going to be truthiness and combating the fake news. This is a brilliant strategy. Our media strategy is to say, what is Facebook's biggest weakness? Its ability to know if this is real news or not. Great. We'll make that our biggest strength. This is a classic David and Goliath strategy. Whatever their weakness is, their Achilles heel, you're going to design a weapon that hits the Achilles heel, not hits them in the chest, right? Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. Next up is Chapeau, and our founder is Lee Lorenzen.
That's right. You got
Lorenzen, I got it right. Welcome to the program. You've watched the other 2 pitches. Tell me, why are you interested in this challenge?
First of all, let me say you're brilliant. And
that was
I hope
very good.
One day to be
now
brilliant like you.
Tell me something about yourself and then finish with me.
Okay.
No, seriously, why is this appealing to you?
I think that if you're going to build a $100 billion company, you need to launch it on a platform that's already bigger than that. But you can't be locked into that platform. And so my idea basically is to connect social with commerce and to leverage Facebook as a method of acquiring customers and Amazon
Great.
as a method
Let's
of
hear all about it. We have 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Okay. Basically, Chapeau Circles is a chat application between a circle leader and circle members. Here, I have a chat with my circle leader, Zenaida. I'm talking about needing some Flintstone vitamins for the grandkids, coming up to this presentation, wanting to get a $100 gift for you. I mentioned that you love tennis, And then I also am trying to decide whether I should wear the blue or red sweater. So she's on that right away. She finds some Flintstone vitamins for me to buy, gets a great deal on those. Then she discovers on eBay some really old school tennis rackets. She says she could basically give those to him as a gift. And then she finally finds this thing that I've been looking for months, which is this Azure Blue crayon. That type of personal shopping experience is what we're envisioning between a Circle member and a Circle leader. Here's another example, this one in Ukraine, which is where we launched. We have a Circle leader, Lydia, and they're chatting with a couple of Circle members about boots and what kind to buy. They decide on these UGG classics. She goes out and finds a killer deal on Zappos in the US for $119. Normally in Ukraine, they're $200. She also finds a great deal for Flintstone vitamins, $9 in Ukraine. They cost $25, and you can't be sure if they're actually quality or not. So that's Lydia. She's basically in her apartment in Kharkiv, Ukraine. She uses our desktop app to chat with her Circle members. She can send out offers to them, hundreds of offers of different kinds, great deals. This is actually in Bulgaria. And then when she gets the orders, she uses the order management system to actually place those orders from US merchants, European merchants, Chinese merchants, and then she receives those packages. She can also use the mobile app to keep up with the chatting. We give every Chapeau Circle leader a US address and a US payment method and a U.S. Email address, and that allows her to basically simulate as if she's a U.S. citizen. It's kind of like we've moved 1.8 billion people that are on Facebook outside the U.S., we moved them to the U.S. in Florida. This is what her apartment looks like there in Kharkiv, and that's about 1 day's worth of packages that she's received for all the orders that she's placed. She opens those up. They're consolidated shipments for the people that she's bought for. She puts them in individual packages, and then she sells those to the Circle members. Drives huge levels of GMV, 40 Circle leaders dealing with about 13,000 members, 300 per, did about 300,000 last November. We're doing this.
All right. So, and I see that you're getting a bunch of Walmart, Amazon, and eBay to then send it.
Actually, every e-commerce site in the world is shoppable through this system.
Got it. So your hack is that you're shopping in location outside of the U.S. and then sending, being able to buy stuff in the U.S. So it's sort of like a P.O. box, but an international one.
Exactly, based on your cell phone number.
I'm not sure exactly how this replaces Facebook.
Well, let me explain that. The key thing for Facebook, and really the only thing they care about, is how much time are you spending in the day in some site other than Facebook. Mm-hmm. And so the more time and efficiency that we can give to the Circle leader, who starts off with a Facebook group, and then she interacts with her members in the Facebook group, but then takes them out of Facebook into Chapeau Circles. So it's a way of basically migrating those members out. We're harvesting users.
Got it. But I still don't see how that replaces Facebook. It seemed like you haven't. You're more in competition with Amazon. Our model really,
again, we don't have a political agenda here. We're just interested in delivering 10 million women and giving them a job to do. And the model is not so much replace, but embrace and extend. And if you know your PC history, that's a good strategy to use when there's an incumbent.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. You're going to be successful at using Facebook groups, which are on fire right now.
Yep.
To get people to join a group and a circle and use the multi-level marketing type approach, which I know MLM has a negative connotation.
It's more like Uber, one level down.
Yeah. Anyway, it's still kind of MLM-y where you have like agents or resale people or agents. So it's got a little bit of that. Maybe you don't have two levels of agents, but it feels kind of like that where they can go on Facebook and round people up and be like a sales force.
Yeah.
These circle people. And I don't actually think a multi-level marketing business actually needs to have the word scam after it. It could just be a system where people can graduate from being sales executives to having a sales team. Putting that aside, since you're here, and I don't think this is going to replace Facebook or challenge it in any way, but I do think you'll get customers over. I'll just give you some. You want some basic feedback?
Yeah.
So I have seen the social shopping thing be tried many times. It turns out it's not as efficient as just going to Amazon's website. Therefore, I don't think this will work in the U.S.
Absolutely. We agree with you. It's outside the U.S. where we have a 10x
So I think that
advantage.
you have an interesting hack with people outside the U.S. I don't know exactly how profitable that could be. You will figure that out, I think. And I think the design needs a little bit of a refresh. You probably want to spend a little bit, but maybe people's expectation in other countries, the design can be a little bit, behind the times, let's say, and still be good. So let's give a great golf clap for Lee of Chapeau. Well done.
Thank you.
Oh, do you have a question for me?
Yes. Who would be, I think we have a strong vision here. I think we've shown product market fit. The next step is execution on a global scale.
Yep.
What woman in the Valley would you recommend as someone who knows execution inside and out?
A woman specifically.
Yeah. Because we target 10 million women as our Chapeau Circle leaders.
So if you're asking about investors.
Not so much investors operationally, if a CEO.
A CEO. I don't have CEO candidates for you off the top of my head, but if I were to look for a CEO, I would look for somebody who managed a vertical at Walmart, eBay, or Amazon. They have vertical heads at all those companies. Somebody runs eBay Motors. Somebody might run the vintage business at eBay Motors. So I would go on LinkedIn and I would look for the vertical manager of one of those who has made enough money working there that they would want to own 10% or 20% of your company and maybe even invest $1 million in it and sort of take it over from here kind of and be the leader of it. That's the approach I would take to finding one.
Cool.
Hopefully that's helpful.
Great advice.
All right.
Thank you.
Well done. Let's give another round of applause for Lee from Chapeau. All right, let's look at another company that's hoping to be our finalist, one of our 7 companies that we invest $100,000 in for 6% of their businesses at the Launch Incubator. This company is called Arena, and the founder is Charles Broskowski?
That's correct.
All right, Charles.
Good enough.
Where are you from, Charles, or where are you now?
I'm from Texas. We're in Brooklyn.
Correct. That is right. I checked my papers here, and that's correct. You are from Texas, and you are currently in Brooklyn. Now, when you say Brooklyn to somebody who was born and raised, you got to tell me where in Brooklyn. Where are you in? Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Bed-Stuy, do or die?
Sunset Park.
Sunset Park. Where are you? 50th Street, 62nd? Where are you? 4th Avenue?
36.
36th. Between 4th and 5th, 3rd and 4th?
4th and 5th.
4th and 5th Avenues. Okay, that's great. My dad grew up on 33rd Street.
Wow.
Between 3rd and 4th. And I grew up on 76th Street. Between 6th and 7th. All right.
Bay Ridge.
Bay Ridge. The Ridge. Okay. Charles, let's have you spend 2 minutes showing us what you're building with Arena. And it's REA.NA.
That's
and
right.
the .NA is the, everybody knows, the extension for the country?
Namibia.
Yes, correct. Also correct. I didn't know that. Namibia. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, go.
So, hi, I'm Charles. I'm one of the co-founders of Arena. Post Cambridge Analytica, most people are painfully aware of the idea that if you're not paying for the product, then you aren't the customer. You are the product being sold. How do we turn the people who use social networks into customers? Well, the answer is actually pretty easy. You make a platform that is useful enough that people are willing to pay for it. So in the age of information overload, Arena is a platform for building ideas with other people. Alana Smithy is starting a clothing company. It's going to be focused on denim wear. And before she starts her company, she's going to compile a bunch of research and add her co-founder to a channel on Arena. And she's got a bunch of stuff on her desktop that she's going to drag into the channel, some images, some links, some texts, and everything uploads, and there's a visual system for organizing her information. And now Alana is using our browser extension where she is saving links and saving images and saving quotes from articles all about denim. She's selecting things, dragging them into the extension, and that's pretty much it. And all the source and everything is saved for her to look at later. And then when she goes back to her Arena channel later, she sees that Jane has added some stuff to her channel, but also her friend Justin has added one of her blocks to his channel. So now she can look through his stuff and see if there's anything that relates to what she's working on. And you can see there that that the denim is there. So Arena is a social platform with no ads, no likes, and no personal recommendations. Users pay for the ability to store private content, $5 a month or $45 a year. And what we're working on next is functionality for teams. So for a bunch of people in a company, we already have 300 accounts of people who are using Arena within the context of a company. Those people will be able to save their research better. And just a final little thing, we're doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. It's about to end. This is a big, good early sign right now that our users are investing in our company, and we've already raised $240K from them.
Okay, and so you can go to republic.co and search for Arena, and you'll find them there if you were so inclined. And that's an equity crowdfunding site, so that means that you don't have to be an accredited investor to participate. What's the minimum investment?
$100.
There you go. So if you want to get started in angel investing and just do $100, a Hundi, a Beano, a C-Note, go right ahead. All right, Charles, so what you're building harkens back to the days of StumbleUpon, Delicious, and other bookmarking services, but has the gorgeous, elegant design of Pinterest if it was done by people who worked at Wallpaper Magazine, for those people not watching. It's a beautiful site. It looks much better than Pinterest, and Pinterest is not a bad-looking site. And so your thesis is the people who are creating collections, you call them projects, will pay to have private collections, and that people will be able to share their research, and that this will be a place for sharing collections of links or videos or data. And so my question to you is, how mainstream is this behavior? Because, as we saw with Delicious, with StumbleUpon, with Dig and Reddit, there was a limit to how big these things could get. Now, Reddit and, of course, Pinterest have been quite large, but they are not social networks. They're bookmarking news sites, aggregators, I guess, is a catch-all that have social features. So are you a social network or an aggregator with social features? How do you look at it, and how are you going to make this huge?
So we see it as being something in between a productivity tool and a social network. And yeah, I totally agree that maybe the limit to our user base is a little bit small right now. We're considering the 15 million creative workers in the US as our beta audience. But we also think that this is kind of a psychographic market, that people are moving towards wanting to have a better handle on the stuff that they're consuming. So while this may sort of be directly marketed to creatives right now, I think a lot of other people in a lot of other fields who depend on their ability to come up with new innovative ideas and use the stuff that they're finding on an everyday basis to come up with those ideas. Those are the kind of people that we're going after, the people who are wanting to be thinking online.
All right. For those of you who are angel investors in the audience, investors of any kind, venture capitalists or soon-to-be angel investors, I asked that question as a challenge to see how Charles would reply to it. And I have to say, this was an exceptional answer, Charles. You're obviously a seasoned founder, or you're just naturally good at the game of entrepreneurship, because you correctly pointed out, I don't need everybody. I have a 15 million user beachhead in creatives who are looking for the solution. I will figure out the 1.5 billion later.
Exactly.
And that is exactly, in fact, what Zuckerberg did. He said, I'm going to do Ivy League schools, and I'm going to do like 6 of them. I don't know. There's how many Ivy League schools are, a dozen or 10? I'm not sure. But he said, I'm not even going to do all of them. I'm just going to do one after the other, and eventually we'll get to you. This is the way to do it. If you try to serve everybody, one of the dangers is you serve nobody, and you have nobody in mind when you're building your product. You, Charles, have somebody in mind when you're using Arena, which is a creative person who needs to organize all this denim because they're making a new series of denim, or they're working on the Go-Go's Broadway show and they need denim and they're looking for inspiration to dress people in denim. Or
it's all about denim.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I tell you why it's really annoying, this denim thing, because I wore denim when I was 14 or 15 years old. I had a denim jacket with like a Neil Young logo on it, and I was doing that to be like not cool. And now all of a sudden it's cool. Ridiculous. Every time I lived in Brooklyn, it wasn't cool. I leave Brooklyn, it becomes cool. I wore denim, it wasn't cool. I stopped wearing denim, now it's cool. It's the story of my life.
Yep.
It's people like you at Arena that make me feel uncool. But I will say I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And the reason I love it, and I think it's a big lesson for everybody who's listening, who's an entrepreneur, is you have to pursue your vision of what the world should be. Does not matter that Jason Calacanis, who's not cool, or somebody who's in Boise, Idaho, or some VC who's totally out of touch. It doesn't matter what our opinion is. What matters is your opinion and what you want to build and what you understand about your customers. You understand these people because those people were hanging out on Tumblr 10 years ago, and Tumblr kind of collapsed. Some of them are hanging out at other places. What are the other places where your audience hangs out?
I honestly can't give you a really good answer for that. I think we have a very unique audience right now, and you could look on Arena Explorer and see the kind of quality of people who are using it, and I wouldn't know where to find these people otherwise. Maybe deep in Reddit, maybe, I don't know, maybe on Instagram in certain places.
Yeah, they would be on Instagram, right? They would be, but if they're on Instagram, you know what they would be doing? They would probably be searching. They probably would have 50 different searches in their Explore tab. These are the people who would be in their Explore tab looking for inspiration and trying to pull stuff together. And you have a monetization. People pay $5 a month, $45 a year. This will be very easy for people to pay if you use the App Store and the subscription model in the App Store. So I assume you have a mobile version on the roadmap, or you're building that as well.
We have a mobile version, yeah, an iOS app. Yep.
All right. I just want to give you a little bit of extra kudos here, Charles. I think what you're building is very good looking, is designed for a group of people who will love it. Now, does it become a huge social network? Maybe you don't see that today, but if you make a feed and you allow people can be friends with each other or follow each other, I'm not sure which metaphor you're using.
People can follow each other,
Okay,
yeah.
and
people can follow channels as well, which are the collections of things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can essentially like follow a hashtag, follow a topic. And if people follow each other, do you call that a friendship, or you just say they just follow each other?
Just follow each other.
Got it. And can I make you my bestie? I'm just asking for
we
a
can
friend.
just say that. Yeah, we can say that.
Okay, good. I didn't care if the feature's on Arena. I just want to say that you and I are besties because you seem pretty cool with the white t-shirt and the white sweatshirt. I mean, that's a power move. You got double layers and they're both white. It's bold. I like it.
You know.
And then you've got the black hair and the black hat and the black shirt. It's good. I like it. Well, and is that an Arena shirt, sweatshirt?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this kid. See, this is entrepreneurship. I've been telling my founders, wear your goddamn logo on your chest like you're proud of it, like Superman or Wonder Woman.
Yeah, make it look good.
Charles did it. Well done. Okay, Charles, do you have any questions for me?
I don't know if I have questions for you on the air.
Okay.
But I'm curious about the other startups who are applying to the launch incubator.
Yeah, I'll give you some general feedback. We like working with small groups of people, so the incubator is limited to 7. Why 7? Well, we invite venture capitalists and early stage angel investor, early stage funds and investors to come. If they see 7 companies, they can remember all 7. They'll meet with all 7. And they'll take notes, and they might invest in 1 or 2. If you bring them, like Y Combinator does, to a demo day with 130 or 140 companies, they can't remember more than 2 of them.
Yeah.
Or other incubators where they just have 40 or 50. It's too much. Also, for me and the team, our team, we just like working with a small group of people. We go for burgers after each incubator. And if I'm going to go for burgers and there's 140 people, then it's like, well, whoever the top 10% are of the rudest, most aggressive founders are going to get my attention, and the other 120 or 30 nice founders who are generous and kind and have, manners are just never going to want to interrupt me. And so then I never meet them and have a negative signal. Whereas if it's 7, every time we have burgers, I sit down with 2 or 3 people, have a nice discussion. And every week, every 2 weeks, I've broken bread with people. So I think intimate is the way to go for this. And then we like to really work harder than anybody else. So our internal mantra is we want to be the hardest working and the most value-added investors in the world. In other words, Charles, if we were to invest and have equity in your company, Arena, which is ARE.NA, go check it out right now, get the extension in the Chrome extension store. We would want you to tell your friend when they said, who's your best investor? You'd say, Jason, Launch is the best. They do the best job. When I need help, that's where we go first. That's what we're trying to do, by the way, because it's a competition here in Silicon Valley and in the game we're in, incubators. And the competition is how much value can we provide you? And then the competition for you is how much of that value can you actually capture and leverage? In other words, if people know if I'm an investor and you're in our incubator and that gets you a meeting, do you set up 10 meetings every week when you're here in town for the Thursday afternoon session? And you set up 3 meetings before and a meeting at night and 4 the next day. Do you capitalize on it? Do you capitalize on our effort to support you? So that's basically what we do.
Got it.
And the team here is just extraordinary. Everybody who works for me, there's about 10 of us, and it'll be a dozen soon. They just love startups. And they're cut into the equity, so that gives them a little extra motivation too. You know what I'm saying? Emmy award-winning producers got 4 Emmys, but J. Cal got 6 unicorns. So if you had to ask somebody, you want 4 Emmys or 6 unicorns? If you ask me, I'd say 4 Emmys. But that's because I already got the 6 unicorns. If you ask Jackie, she'd give me the 4 unicorns. She'd give me those 4 Emmys for the 6 unicorns. I'll tell you that much. All right. Great job,
Thank you.
Charles. Very much enjoyed meeting you. And I will see you when I'm taking my mom to Patsy Grimaldi's for pizza in a couple of weeks. Maybe you come join us. You want to join Mom and me for pizza?
Oh, yeah. Just let me know.
All right, good. You like the meatball? You like pepperoni? What do you like, a little mushroom?
Meatball.
You go for the meatball? Okay, good. Me too. Okay, everybody. Let's summarize what we learned today. 1, Facebook has got big problems, big challenges, but they're not going anywhere. They're going to stick around for a while. And many competitors have emerged over the 10 years since Facebook's been around. You as a founder can compete with Facebook or Google or Tesla or PayPal or any of these giant companies. There is always an opportunity for a founder to build a better product and get the flywheel going and create the product that replaces the last one. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And so what is success for all of us involved in this open book challenge? It's a question I get often. And success for me is if everybody in the entrepreneurial community and even some of the investors who've lost their chutzpah I'm using in place of another word, but they don't have the chutzpah that they need to have in order to take risk. And this is a risk worth taking. If all 7 companies fail, but we learn something, well, that's good for me as an investment firm. We can then put that into the next 7 investments. But if one of these companies goes out and changes the world in some way, gets some kind of traction, that'd be a huge success, let alone if 2 do it. Now, you don't have to go directly up against Facebook. The point of this competition is to inspire people and start the dialogue of what will come after Facebook, and on a higher level, to inspire the community to realize that startups can compete against big companies. There is a false narrative being spread that you cannot compete against Google and Facebook anymore. If that was true, why would Facebook buy WhatsApp and buy Instagram and threaten Snapchat with destruction if they didn't sell for 2 or 3 billion? Well, you know what? Snapchat didn't sell. Snapchat's worth 15 to 25 billion, depending on when you sold your shares. And although the company's got some problems, it's a public company that's not going anywhere. I predict actually they're going to do well. And Instagram, which sold for $1 billion to Zuckerberg, made the biggest mistake in the history of the technology industry in terms of M&A. That company would have been worth 150 to 250 billion right now. In fact, most people would say Instagram is going to be bigger and better and more profitable than Facebook at the end of the day. So, huge error there. Kevin Systrom should have done what Evan Spiegel has done, which is stay independent. And so all of these lessons, I think, are now on the table with the Open Book Challenge. And there's plenty of time for you to get involved. If you're hearing my voice, you have until June 15th to submit your application to get into the July 1st finals, because we're going to spend those 2 weeks reviewing it. If an application happened to come in late, we might actually look at it if it was great, and you never know, you might sneak in. And we'll have those 20 finalists going over the summer. But independent of this competition, we're always looking for great companies for the launch incubator. And if you've got a great idea and you want to go up against one of the big companies, we're here. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are brave. We're looking for people who have chutzpah. And we're looking for investors to invest alongside us in companies that face great challenges. We're here to take on the challenge. We're here to take risk. And the safe move is to be scared and go, oh, I'm not going to compete against the incumbents. That's also the mistake. You can compete with these incumbents. You can change the world. And we are here with the capital to help those people who have skills. So you don't just get the money for free. You got to have skills. You got to be able to build a product. I was looking at these products today. I said, wow, all 4 of them have good ideas, good insights, and a number of them pretty refined products already. Sure, you could look at it on the edges, say, this doesn't make sense. This design could be better. All that stuff will be fixed with capital and time. What I look at is the big picture. Is the founder of Arena going to keep going? Or he's going to quit when it's not explosive growth, it's just moderate? Or will our media say, this is too hard, we get too much criticism, or, the world's not ready for it, we can't figure out the business model? Well, they come back to work day after day and slog it out until they hit traction. And eventually, the people who don't give up have great success. This is something I know to be true. So I want you to remember my email, jason@calacanis.com. If you email me, you get that bounce that says, we got a lot of email here. It'll take us a couple days to get back to you. I read every one of them. I may not get back to you. It may take me a couple emails, may take me a little time to think about it, but we're here and we want your ideas and we want to support you. So given that, a couple of other ways to work with us, Founder University, which is founder.university. That's how we work with 60 startups in a 3-day course. We do it 6 times a year, so that's 360 startups that will go through our curriculum every year. It's a lot. It's 18 days of school we host a year. And about 10, we'll probably invest in 10% of those. So of the 360 people who go through the Founder University, I'm going to guess we'll invest in 25 to 35 of them over the next year. That's how we get to know people. And then there's the Launch Incubator, of course. We're doing Launch Festival in Sydney. We have the Angel Summit coming up. You can Google all that stuff. Just lots of good stuff we're doing to try to support founders. All those events I mentioned are there to support founders. Founders get free tickets to them if they apply in time. And of course, you have this podcast and the Angel Podcast, angelpodcast.com and This Week in Startups. If you want to do me a favor, write a review of my book, Angel, or write a review of this podcast, because that really helps when I go visit my mother. Because she goes, oh, I was reading a review of your book. It came in on June 6th. It was by Adam Z, and he had some very nice things to say about you. But he did mention the F-bombs, which I do not appreciate you using those words. I didn't raise you to speak that way. That's how my mom talks. Every time, slow and methodical, and she's upset about the curse words. So, okay. This has been a great episode. Go to openbookchallenge.com to learn more and see the timeline. And if you know somebody who wants money for their startup, tell them to email jason@calacanis.com. Thank you, Emmy award-winning producer Jackie. Thanks, Jason DeMott, for running the incubator. Ashley, can't wait to get you back on Jason Syndicate. And Jacob, director Jacob, thanks for making the podcast perfect. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.